Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Second Guessing with Stressin. I'm your host, Garrett Williams, aka Texans Commenter or Houston Stressins. Sorry for the noise. I have a cough drop in. I have strep throat. I came down with it Sunday night, which I thought was the flu, and my wife started to feel bad the next day, and we found out it was strep. But as I tweeted out, I'm going with the swarm mindset, and I'm gonna rock it out and still get an episode in. I'm feeling good body wise. It's just throat right now, but yeah, I just wanted to weekly check in with you guys. There was some news that happened this week and some things to talk about, so it may be a little bit shorter of a show, and you may hear this weird noise with a cough drop in my mouth. So apologies for that, but I appreciate all you guys tuning in, all the support. I guess I'll go ahead and lead off. Obviously, I always say that I'm bad about this, but promoting myself, all my platforms, obviously follow me at Texans Commenter on X, TikTok, and YouTube. And then at Houston Stressans, STRESSANS at on Instagram and Facebook. I'm thinking about, I think the last thing for me to cover would be a Twitch and maybe just have it seam in with this. But I got my website as well, www.houstonstressins.com. You can get merch like this, Houston versus everybody. I got merch on there. I got a free newsletter to subscribe to. Been slacking about sending that weekly. I just do so much. I need to start getting more help, but feel free to subscribe to that. I got some cool stuff coming soon too with, I'm revamping like the profile pages for content creators to where it can be your own website. My website guy is working on it now, and it's looking pretty slick. So James, Roy, and Tom with the bullpen, shout out those guys. I'm getting their store slash page slash website set up, so that'll be something to look out for. Restream, the service I use to stream here, is finally letting Instagram work. So shout out my Instagram fan, Jose on there says, "Yo, what up, brother?" But yeah, so we'll kind of do a Q&A, and I'll kind of go through the timeline and talk about the recent news. But I saw a comment down there from Lance. Unknown says, "Yo," he says, "Sorry about my conditions, Garrett. All good, man. I'm good. I'm blessing." My guy Lance says, "What's good?" Jeremiah Tovar on Facebook, blessing. Appreciate you tuning in. Facebook, man, I love Facebook, fam. It's like almost 7K now. Instagram, I'm like super close to 14K. X, I'm super close to 20K, so I got a lot of different milestones. YouTube's been popping off, 10.6K, and I just, I initially was like able to monetize on there, but I think, before I had like the subscriber account, even though it was like 1,500. I think the issue was though is a lot of the content I used was like on shorts, and it was like interviews or like clips from like national media stuff, like NFL networks, let's say. And I feel like YouTube picked that up and like would flag it. So like a lot of the watch hours that I had that were credited towards making me eligible, I feel like were like not counted. And so I could never figure it out. So I basically, several months ago went back and deleted anything that was flagged. And so I've been having to like get these watch hours up. And ever since I had this big jump, and shout out everybody tuning in and watching, I've been re-eligible, and just today like I reapplied and it's pending. So hopefully that works and I can start doing the super chats and all that stuff, because that would be great. I mean, I do this as a passion because I love it. I'm born and raised Houston Texans fan, but I have spent a lot of time on it. So I definitely want to try and take advantage of opportunities where I can monetize here and there when I can, just to just to make it worth my while. So not worth my while, but just to make it to where I can keep doing what I'm doing, because when I do this too, like this service here, I pay a monthly fee to be able to stream, and then I pay for like PFF and NFL Pro, and I pay CapCut. Sometimes I use that, and then Canva. Just like a bunch of little things that add up, So that's just part of it. But shout out Brada Bakes on IG, lifelong diehard Texans Oilers fan here from Hawaii. Feels like this is our year. Finally, uber excited. That's dope. Aloha. And I think it is also our year. So respect to that. Lance Shepard said, body wise, throat wise, drop in mouth, pause. Yeah. I uh I knew I should have said pause there. You got me. You held me accountable. Appreciate it, Lance, my guy. Uh Matthias, is I believe is how you say it. Jimenez. Hello from Brazil. That's dope, dude. What's up? That's awesome. I've been there once with my wife. We went to Rio de Janeiro, and to me, it was I thought it was like one of the coolest cities I've ever been to. Rio de Janeiro was dope. I mean, you hear about these places, obviously they can be dangerous, but I think when you go to these certain places and countries and cities, it's just like anywhere else, like Houston, it can be dangerous if you are dumb and just go into the wrong area. So, but yeah, Rio de Janeiro was tight, dude. I mean, I feel like it was like a lot of climates. You had like the beach, and then you had like the jungle, and then you had like a lot of sightseeing. The Christ, can't remember the name of the big Christ statue, but that was cool to see. And then there was like a little mountain you can go see. There was just a lot of cool stuff to do. And the one thing about Brazil was the churrascarias. Like if you ever been to like Fogo de Chao, those were based off of like, from my understanding, is Brazilian barbecue churrascaria. And we went to one that was just like a normal one. It was nothing crazy. We paid like $10 American, and it was like the best food I had ever. And it was like as much as you could eat. So yeah, Brazil's dope. Shout out Matthias over on IG. Cody Riggs says, "Bro, you're working hard. You deserve to get paid." Hey, appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm conscious and careful with how I word that. Like, I'm not. I just don't want it to be misconstrued. Like, everything I've done with this has been natural. It's like a passion of mine since I've been like 4 years old. I've always, as soon as I could read, back then you didn't have internet, but like I would wake up and read the newspaper next to my parents and check the stats and the standings of the Astros, Rockets. I mean, obviously the Texans weren't when I was super young around, but so yeah, I'm just doing the same thing, but now I'm just like sharing what I consume, what I find interesting, my opinion, my analysis. That's pretty much it. But yeah, so it wasn't like I had like this big set out goal. This has been a natural evolving process. So yeah, I mean, if there's ways to capitalize, great, and keep it afloat, then that's kind of the thought process there. And I should say too, yeah, like I said, I mentioned all the socials. If you're not on them, please still, if you're not active, to follow or like, subscribe, whatever it is on that platform. That would definitely help. And then also the podcasts have been growing too on Spotify and Apple. So subs and like reviews on there really help. So that would be great. But yeah, it's gonna be 1 second. This cough drop's getting a little weird here. I didn't want to say certain words because I didn't want to get told pause by Lance. I know he'd be on me for that. So I just said some random stuff just to avoid saying something not good there. So it's really hard to talk a lot with the friggin' cough drop in your mouth. But anyhow, so I've already spent 10 minutes just talking about nothing. But yeah, so Texans, let's just go back through the timeline. I think the big news today is, let's see, I'll share my screen. Share screen. Go to Twitter. All right, let me get my face on here. Get that mug. All right. So yeah, the big news is the signing of Damon Arnette Jr., broken by Aaron Wilson. Good job, Aaron Wilson, who had his first live today, and I was in the chat. He did a great job. Really cool to see that. He was kind of doing what I was doing right now, just Q&A, just spitballing, answering stuff, and it was kind of cool to get some insight and kind of get to see more of his personality. So shout out Aaron. If y'all don't, follow him on YouTube and look out for his next live. It was a great, he answered every question and, gave some good feedback on that. But so I'll kind of just go back through the timeline. I'll kind of start at today. And so that's, earlier today, Aaron broke it. And then obviously there was the Jair Alexander news as well, like almost simultaneously, where he signed with the Ravens. And he signed for only $4 million with up to $6 million with incentives, which I thought was crazy, but people were making a good point. Sounds like he took less to play with his former teammate and good friend Lamar Jackson and probably, have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And me saying that wasn't like saying, why didn't we get him? That's not, I was just saying like, that's cheap. Um, it would be like crazy and nice to have him, but there really wasn't room to have him. And he is a bigger personality. And if he were to come on our team on the Ravens, he's cornerback two, opposite of Nate Wiggins, who was a rookie last year, I believe, out of Clemson. One sec, I had to clear my throat. Yeah, so back to Jair. Yeah, I didn't really want us to sign him. It didn't make sense. He wouldn't be a cornerback three. We just need depth. And so we signed exactly that, a depth piece in Arnette Jr. And this was interesting to me because I had kind of asked the question once we saw Ronald Darby retiring. That's when it put us in the market for a corner. And D'Amico said it right away and basically said, "Yeah, we'll be in the market for a corner." And he said to us too, like, I had the question, and he had the same. He didn't know either at the time whether we'd be looking for an experienced vet or a younger guy, and it's kind of in between the two. And they kind of took a flyer basically on Arnett. Obviously he has a checkered past. I personally didn't know too much about it. I've looked into it, and I guess we don't have to go into all the different stuff that happened. But there's been incidents like 3 or 4 arrests, or however many arrests there's been for different deals, and I don't know the exact extent of them. But what I do know is evidently, he is claiming and appears to be, a remade person. He served the punishment. He was, I believe, drafted 19th overall by the Raiders in 2019 or 2020, and didn't play much his rookie year. He had surgery on both of his groins, got in trouble, got cut, and then he went to, I believe he said it was Miami, and was about to get rolling there. And then the coaches got fired, and then he went to Kansas City, and they said, "Hey, we got a super short leash." And then he got into trouble shortly after, so they cut him. And from there, he was pretty much done. I believe he took some time off, and then he's now been in the XFL. Worked out with the Texans, in the past month, and they signed him. So I think this says a couple things. One, yes, I understand concerns if anybody's concerned about the past, character issues, how that looks, etc. But as far as like from the risky standpoint, the swarm culture, and I've kind of said this too, like my theory on like the swarm culture, you know, it's special work ethic and relentless mindset. Like me with strep throat, I'm still, I got the special work ethic and I'm relentless. I'm still here, So along that topic, when it comes to someone like Arnett, you're like, oh, well, he doesn't fit that. That kind of came up with Diggs in a different scenario, not because of past, incidents, but like, it, he seemed to be questioned whether he would be a fit locker room wise, and he did just fine. And then we also did a flyer on Deontay Johnson and didn't do fine, cut him. And so I think that's part of it. So I think that we're willing to take risk on these guys when it's free agency way more so than the draft. I feel like every draft pick we've seen, there's been like no character checkered past issues, like because those are like foundational pieces you're investing in, and hopefully have them for at least the 4 years, potentially 5 years if they're early round and they get that 5th-year option. But with free agency, if you can sign them to a cheap contract and get rid of them, it's like you just wipe your hands clean. But I will say too, from watching D'Amico when he talked about Stephon Diggs, when he talked about Deontay Johnson, again, 2 separate instances from Damon here, but basically there were concerns. He said both times, when you come here with me, you start with the clean slate. So like, no matter what happened in the past, I'm not going to hold you to that. Like, I'm going to give you a fresh start. And so it's basically from what you do from day one on. And if it is like the past, then yeah, you're out. But if you show me you're this person, then that's who I see. And so with Arnett, that's what he's claiming. He's claiming he's a new person. I don't know if he's always been religious, but he's maybe a newfound, fine, love for God and Christ and all that stuff. But I think the big thing is like he basically was young and had a series of things go and go and go. I actually watched this clip here. I watched like a 20-minute interview on him that was done by John Jaquez Taylor, which was awesome. I would highly recommend watching it. And so I learned a lot about him, and basically he just hit rock bottom, but he was spiraling down through a series of events. And he basically said, like, I didn't realize it until I was like down here, like, shit, like I've messed up. And he had nowhere to go but up and figure it out. And, mention for his family, for his kids, for all the people, like he felt like he, let people down, like parents, aunts, uncles, stuff like that. So, um, it's definitely a story to root for. I mean, I'm a firm believer in second chances. I know I'm not perfect. And if I make mistakes or ever had any big mistakes, I definitely wouldn't want to be just written off. I would definitely want people to allow me to, you know, uh, how do I say the word? I can't think right now. Redeem myself. Um, it'd be different too. Like, and I guess you could argue, yeah, he's gotten second chances, but he's had like a break and a reset and a supposedly recharge and revamp. And so, it's a great chance. But from the Texans' perspective, this is just a depth piece. This is like a cornerback 3/4. And if he doesn't pan out, then fine. So like Darby was kind of that. He retired. Last year it was Jeff Okudah and CJ Henderson. I think CJ Henderson would be more of the same comp. CJ Henderson was, I don't want to speak wrong, but I believe he was somewhat of a character issue guy, high talent, former first round draft pick. Similar situation here. So I guess their eyes is this is a very talented guy, low risk, high reward. We have good culture to hopefully, the biggest thing would be to help this person as a man. Like if you as a person, like put him in a good environment to help him continue to keep his life on the right path. That would first and foremost would be the goal. And then, if now he can continue to play and contribute and help out his life financially in that aspect, that's like a dream situation for all parties involved. So, again, like I don't know the exact nature of all the deals of all the incidents, but I would still I'm still the kind of person that like unless it's like something super crazy, you try and give people redemption and mercy and give them the chance to get back and get right. Otherwise, you just keep them in that hole and it just gets worse and worse. Like if you're that person that's messing up and you get no remorse or whatever, at that point, like it's like F it. Why would I try and do right? Like I might as well keep doing whatever the heck I want. So, anyways, I think it was somewhat interesting, but I think it's a good signing. I get it. We'll see how it shakes out. But Landry Locker had shared this. He said this was a sit down with Damon Arnette that he had with JTT not too long ago about all of his off field trouble and new approach. So we'll listen to this.
Is in jail, making wrong decisions, 3 kids, 3 different moms, millions of dollars, no dollars. And where I'm at today is the best version of myself after going through all of that and still motivated to keep going. The only answer to that is God. There's no way I shouldn't be dead in jail in a way worse situation than I'm in right now. Whatever it is I went through, I feel like it's to prepare me what I've asked for from the very beginning. To be a great son, a great father, a great nephew, just somebody with a good heart can look at me and feel proud and inspired to never quit, to never give up. God is good for it not being too late. And every single day, like I just try not to waste any time because I already feel like I don't waste 3 years and I see how much can change.
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't know much about him, especially personally, like interview wise before this, but like just my judgment watching this clip here and having watched the whole video, like this seems like someone who's remorseful. Like he feels like he's messed up in life. He feels bad. He feels like he wants to do right. Like I don't know what y'all's take is, but like that's the sense I got, and so I would highly recommend. I'll share it on YouTube. Let me see if I can pull it up. But like the whole video, like to me, was kind of pretty touching and inspiring. Honestly, like it makes me like think about not being so judgmental about people that have mistakes and understand that like things happen. Like this is the way he explains it. Again, I don't know a lot of situations, and I understand if you don't agree with what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying this to be controversial by any means. Again, it's an opinion. It's not anything. But let's see here. Let me see if I can go to my history on my YouTube and just show you what the video is. But let's see. I'm gonna share right here. So yeah, this right here, 26-minute video, dude.
NFL's other 31 stadiums.
It's a 26-minute video, and it is absolutely touching. Damon Arnette talked to Jaquez Talk one-on-one exclusive interview. Highly recommend watching this, but he kind of it's really well done. Yeah, it kind of goes through his whole story and all that good stuff. So I would highly recommend watching that. Definitely rooting for him. Gets a couple comments. Nosh says, will J-Pat be the starting center? It doesn't sound like it to me, like talking with Aaron Wilson. I was on his live earlier listening to him. It sounds like it's, what's his name? I'm sick, man. My brain is not as sharp as normal. Jake Andrews. It sounds like it's Jake Andrews' job to lose, but hey, we'll see. I still need to watch his interview that he had with Vandermeer and Harris, so maybe I'll find some nuggets in there. I watched the Berrios one today and got a couple clips I'll post tomorrow from that. I thought that was a good interview. Berrios is very well spoken. DQ is a hot dog is a sandwich. That was funny. Yeah, because Aaron was in the live. Like, ask me anything. So I knew it was Aaron's first time doing a live, so I was trying to just kind of lighten the mood a little bit, keep him on his toes, make him realize it's just, and that's what I learned too with this. Like when I first started doing this, I used to be like super structured and rigid and think about doing this and that. But like what I found is best for me and for y'all, I feel like people enjoy the best is like just be authentic, be real, go off the rip. Like even with interviews, like don't try and structure it and plan it. Like let the conversation go where it goes. Cause I feel like if I'm asking organic questions that I really want to know, as opposed to like, I have to ask this, I have to ask that, you catch yourself cutting people off and you're not listening to the conversation. So that's just, something I've learned myself. And this is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but passing on YouTube, D'Amico is a brilliant leader, can create the right kind of peer pressure for guys like this. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too is like to help him personally as a man. Like that's a great thing for Damon to go be in that environment. Like, hey, at the very least, we can help you continue this path of righteousness to correct. I just combined two words, correct and rectify your life. So yeah, I agree with that. Nosh says, how do you feel about the Texans at DT? I feel good. I mean, it's just like last year, we wanted us to make all these splash signings, get these big names. And then this year, we kind of thought we might do that after watching the Super Bowl and the Eagles winning with pressure up front, primarily with their interior, the defensive tackles, both tackles. But I thought we might draft one or sign one, like a big name guy, and we really didn't. We kind of ran it back and then added Sheldon Rankins and then drafted Keontae from Rutgers late, which may or may not make the team or be practice squad. Who knows? But I think it's solid, but I don't think that they have to be elite because our edge rushers are elite, and our secondary is, so they're going to have longer to rush. And D'Amico and all these guys too they may not be household names, but they fit what D'Amico wants as far as traits in his scheme. So all this talk about putting players in the right position to succeed, he got guys that will be put in the right position to succeed in his scheme. So I feel good about it. I mean, and I like it's deep. I would take a bunch of depth of above average, then a couple elite, and then no depth at the interior, which seems to be our approach. So I'm happy about it. Let me just check on IG real quick. Brada Breaks says precisely. I like his physicality. Actually had a productive rookie season with the Raiders. And then Aiden Jacinto says Super Bowl bound. Let's go. And let's see if I miss anything else. I think that's it on IG. But yeah, so I'll kind of just keep going through the timeline to kind of rehash what we've seen. I clipped up a bunch of clips from the Jaylin Noel interview with the Amon Ra or the St. Brown brothers, Amon Ra and I believe it's Equanimous. Yes, Equanimous at the rookie premiere. So it was like a month or so ago. But here's a couple clips. Let's just start with them right here. This is Jaylin Noel talking about being frugal, which I love.
With this signing bonus that you're getting, what's your first purchase? Like, what's your first big purchase?
Man, if I don't get like a furniture deal or something, I'm gonna get some nice furniture.
Okay.
Furnish the crib.
So you're getting a crib though. That would be you're buying a crib.
Renting.
Okay.
Renting. I won't buy until a second contract.
Right.
But yeah, I guess crib, go into it, some furniture.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my little Toyota Camry for a little.
You got a Toyota Camry?
Yeah, 2021 red interior. So
That's
I mean,
lit.
it's good
Nah,
enough.
I
It's
respect
good.
that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
dope.
point B.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the camera.
Yeah, nah.
Okay.
Not a big. I mean, you have some jewelry on, but you're
Yeah, no, I'm not like. This isn't
just
like,
some calm shit.
Yeah, calm.
Yeah, some calm. I feel that.
Yeah.
I like it. Like nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Stack up bread.
What you got on your wrist?
This is nothing crazy. This is like a fake Rolex.
I know it's not
Nothing
fake,
crazy.
but hey,
It's
ain't
fake.
no wrong.
Nothing
I
crazy.
want to get a Rolex.
With the signing bonus that you get.
Yeah, so I mean,
what's your first purchase?
this clip, and we'll see on the others. Like he seems like the kind of guy you like. He's just about ball. He's not flashy. Like he's just, taking care of his money. Like he's not buying a house first. Like you may get relocated. You may not have money yet. Like, most guys may. And also he's a later draft pick. So he's not a first round pick, but he's still probably getting some good bread. But he's not basically, I would probably blow that shit right away. But yeah, he's chilling, dude. Like driving the same car. It reminds me of Hard Knocks years ago with Giovanni Bernard on the Bengals, the running back. He might have been a first round pick or whatever pick he was, but I remember on Hard Knocks, he was still driving like an old minivan and they were all giving him shit for it. He's like, what, man? I'm trying to save my money. And so you've seen guys like that. I think Danielle Hunter is another one who drives like his old car still. So a lot of respect for people like that. I don't know if I would have the same restraint, but very admirable for sure. Let's see. And so here he is talking about his bench press reps at the combine.
23 reps on bench.
Yeah.
Now you gotta run me through like what. Like,
I mean,
are you a big bench guy? Because I like bench too.
Yeah,
like,
no, I seen.
I hit 20.
Yeah.
At the combine. That was hard to do.
Me too.
Like
Yeah.
for me, 20 was like damn, but 23. How much do you weigh?
So Amon Ra is like jealous. He's like, bro, how the frick did you get 23? I got 20. Like, I'm supposed to be the shit. You can tell he's jealous.
I weigh 195.
And he grew up, his dad was like Mr. Universe. So he's like, damn, bro.
Right
That's
now.
nuts. Like,
Yeah.
were you practicing? Were you like repping it out a lot before?
I mean, I'm always been like a big like weight room guy.
Right.
Like, actually, you was talking about earlier how your background with the weight room and stuff, but it's just always something that I get. It's like joyful for me. Like I'm in the weight room. I'm trying to be competitive with other guys, pushing other guys, but it's something that I always like. I knew I'd get a lot of reps, but I didn't know like 23. My goal was like 25. The receiver record was like 27.
Really?
But didn't get too much sleep the night before. After the combine, I'm sure you know exactly how that feels. But
yeah, so that's crazy. I mean, he basically says he's a gym rat, like he loves working out, and then he says he's frugal, doesn't spend his money. This dude's mature, man. So like, this is what's tough too. Like when we analyze like during the draft or leading up to the draft, who we may and may not draft, is like we aren't privy to this information. I guarantee you, like this is all intel they gathered on top of the tape, which was electric. But then they see, okay, this is the type of person who's like, this is a no brainer. Like, and all the guys you look at, we drafted over the years, and in this draft, Jaden Higgins is the same way. Like they're all just like, chill about their business. Good people, hard workers. And so I guarantee you, like that's it to me. Like I wish there was a way for us to see into that, because like if we could find like the top 20, 30 list of like this top character, if there was like a metric for it for different categories, that's probably the way they work. Because most of the guys are good. They probably, I mean, maybe they look at the film first, but I guarantee you it's a huge part of it. And after every year we draft these guys, then we hear about them like CJ and Will. You start listening to them talk, you're like, shit, bro. Like, yeah. I mean, Kalen, Kamari, it's all the same shit, dude. Like, it's extremely evident why they draft these guys. So, here's some cool stats from the 33rd team. They were talking about the Will Anderson Jr. trade. I guess one of them on there, criticized it heavily at the time. I was always in love of the trade up for Will Anderson Jr. at 3. They were saying whether it was too much or not. I didn't think it was. And, obviously today I think it proves that it wasn't. But I think a couple things that weren't noted in that is again, we just talked about character and swarm. Like Will Anderson Jr. is like the penultimate of that. And he's a guy that you can build a franchise around as a DN, like character, culture, all of that. And we see it. Like he's already in year 2 was getting pointed at on the big board by D'Amico, like be like him. Like, so he is like, he's already like the face of the franchise on the defense. And also too, I like to point out in this scenario, it's criticized whether the trade up for Will was viable or not. I think it needs to be considered. We don't know for a fact, but there was a lot of speculation and reporting that, potentially they wanted Will first, but it was smarter to take CJ first at 2, because then at 3, you would have had teams like Indy and other teams that needed quarterbacks that now you would have had to spend more to trade up to get CJ at 3. So we don't know for a fact, but I think that should be considered when debating whether this trade up was valuable or not. And if it was technically for CJ, then hell yes. Like obviously it is for Will too. But anyhow, this stat on Will says the havoc rate leaders among defenders with at least 300 snaps played in 2024 was Edrin Cooper with 4.5%, and then Will Anderson Jr. at 4.1%, and then Trey Hendrickson at 3.5%. So up towards the top. Havoc rate is the percentage of plays with a TFL, forced fumble, INT, PBU, or sack. So basically like causing havoc. And let's see here. Keep going up. Astros are playing hot. I think they're playing right now, and they're winning 2-1. And then, we talked about the Jair Alexander news with the Ravens. And so, that's the debate. Nico Elite takes, he pointed out there, DB room now is now cornerback 1, Nate Wiggins, cornerback 2, Jair Alexander, nickel, Marlon Humphrey, free safety, Malachi Stark, strong safety, Kyle Hamilton. And then I was saying, who's better, Texans or them? I lean Texans. Obviously we got Stingley, all-pro Sting, and Kamari at our corners. And then we have Kalen Bullock at the high safety, strong safety, CJ Garner-Johnson, and Jalen Petrie at the nickel. And now you got Jalen Smith there as well as some depth. So I think we have a better secondary than them. I think we have the best in the league. But kind of just keep going through. Another clip from Jaylin Noel. This is him talking about CJ Stroud.
Like seeing him for the first time, knowing you got a quarterback that's going to be there for years to come, who's cold.
Yeah.
Like, you probably felt good, right?
Oh, yeah. No, that's a blessing for sure. As a receiver, like, you only control so much.
Exactly.
So you got to have somebody that can get you the ball, and he's that guy for sure. And so it's dope to be able to play with him.
Have you thrown with him yet or caught for him?
No, not yet. Not yet. Just
I like.
So a couple things on there. He's right. Like as a receiver, dude, like that's what's tough. Like you can kind of be hidden. We see it in the league all the time. Like if you don't have a good quarterback, you're kind of SOL. You're heavily dependent on them having the arm strength and the ability to find you and hit you. But listen here at the end, I think there's a reason why they released this late. But they asked him if he had caught from CJ yet, which I think at this point in time, maybe he should have. But this maybe tells you he wasn't throwing.
with him.
Maybe it's me over speculating.
No, not yet. Not yet. Just
I like.
And so I don't know. Maybe it's just me, whatever, but who cares? That's all done. We're done with that nonsense. And then I saw a highlight of Daniel Jackson at Minnesota, who was an undrafted receiver by us. Thought I would share it on a post corner route. Stems them out wide, sticks, shows inside, sticks. Terrible ball. Gets the foot in. But yeah, so I mean, that'll be interesting to see if he can make the team or practice squad. But I think he's underrated. He was a pretty productive receiver at Minnesota, and from what I've seen on his film, and then some of the clips in practice, he's a fluid route runner, good hands. I mean, I like him. He's got a nice game. So Brandon Hallman says everyone first week of the season Oh my God, the Astros are terrible. Everyone by June, can the Astros win the World Series this year? That's big facts, and we're there right now, dude. I mean, they're looking good, man. Love my Stros. Primo Looks says Noel going to be a big part of this offense. I agree, man. I mean, I think I think a lot of them will be. So maybe I'll scroll back a little further and get some clips in here, just from the recent days. Yeah, Cam Smith had a multi-homer game. What a trade that was, and what a decision to call him up that early that was. And he's, playing like at a gold glove level in right field, a position he's never played before. Dude is balling. And then, yeah, The Athletic had posted something about, they checked on, we analyzed every World Series winner since 1998 to see what they had in common. Stats and history say these 5 teams fit the profile of being able to win: Astros, Cubs, Padres, Tigers, Yankees. And it basically was like based off of, I forgot what they said. It was based off of like certain stats, whatever it was. Yeah, and then they had the Texans playoff percentage chance via ESPN at 52.9%. At first, 81.2% is the Bills, 76.3% the Chiefs, 76.2% the Ravens. We'll start rounding. 74% the Eagles, 65% the Lions, 61% the Rams, 60% the Niners, 59% the Chargers. And you already had the Chiefs above them, not winning the division. And then the Bucks at 59, Bengals at 58, Commanders at 58, and then the Texans at 52. Like, what? We're in supposedly the worst division in the league. And isn't that how you get into the playoffs, by winning your division? Not to mention we're a damn good team. Like, I get the schedule's harder, which I personally don't think it's as hard as most people think. But, yeah, that's cap, bro. Yeah, then there was that Peter Bukowski guy, his old deal. I didn't really get into it, but he's always hating on Stroud. He was on air with 790. Yeah, we'll do some of the Nico clips from Greenlight Pod here.
Well, there's one guy I know that he will let you know when he makes a play, and he just joined y'all. His name's CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Oh, yes, sir.
Has he made his presence felt yet in practice and around the building?
Most definitely, man. We know what type of guy CJ is, man. He's a dog. That whole secondary dogs. And I feel like, man, he's about to get everybody on that same train, man, real quick. So
that's a hell of a room.
It's a hell.
That's a
best
hell of a
defense.
room.
Look, I feel like the best defense in the league by far.
Talk your shit. Let's go.
I give it to you.
This year they can do it on tape, and
I feel the same damn way, Nico. That's how we feel. Imagine him going against that defense. Like, he's not just saying that shit to gas him up. Like, he feels that way. That's from a top 5 receiver in the league. So he says CJ Gardner-Johnson's a dog. He said he's going to get the rest of the team on that train. And then, like, I just, like, get goosebumps watching this because he starts talking about it right here.
That's a hell of a room.
So Chris Long says that's a hell of a room. And then, like, just watch Nico's reaction. Here, let me it's kind of, you can't see his face as good, but see here.
Best defense. Look,
he's just, like, excited, laughing, thinking about it.
I feel like the best defense in the league by far.
Best defense in the league by far. Facts, dude.
Hey, man.
I agree, man. You try not to, like, be too homerish, but, like, they're freaking elite, bro. Let's see. Nosh says, off topic, Rockets should not trade any of their core players outside of FEV or KD. I agree, man. I mean, I get, like, the criticism for Jalen Green, but, maybe trade him. But, like, I would rather not, dude. I feel like we really weren't, like, as bad as things seemed last year, this season. We took a Golden State team who could have been in the finals if not for a Steph Curry injury. Probably lost to the Thunder. But, like, took them to the ropes as a young team. Our first time in the playoffs, and we're not even supposed to be anywhere. We're the 2nd seed, way ahead of schedule. And Jalen Green, yeah, he was terrible and didn't show up. Maybe that's who he is, but I still feel like it may be too early just to kind of be off with it. But, adding a shooter would be priority in my opinion. Maybe y'all don't agree with me, but I never saw the appeal of getting Giannis. Like, everyone on here is complaining about how we can't shoot, which is true. And then you want to go and get Giannis, who can't freaking shoot. So you want to get another guy who's just doing the same shit. Like, I feel like the team was great how it is. They have great chemistry. We got plenty of picks. Look at OKC. They did the same thing. Like they just stacked up a bunch of young talent, developed them, a bunch of picks, but they got shooters. But that took time. Lou Dort was a terrible shooter. And now he's a pretty damn good three-point shooter. So that's, something to think about too. But I definitely think that we shouldn't, sell the house. Like I think KD would be a good piece because now we got a shooter, but you don't want to give up a core piece like Nosh said for that, in my opinion, or even like a Booker, a shooter. I mean, and then, guys develop. Like Jabari can take a leap. Jalen Green can take a leap. All men can take a leap. Like these guys can improve at shooting. Like the Lou Dort example is a prime one. So Jeff says, Nico. Brandon says, still funny that I got them to read the Aziz Lawrence joke. Yeah, that was pretty good, dude. Brandon, you're the GOAT on green light. I remember that. Royal says, my guy, what up, brother? He says, you seen Gabrahan, the new pitcher, the Astros, called up from AAA. I already know he's trying to give me the D's nuts jokes. I'm not sure. Let's see. Grab a hand on these nuts. Is that what you're trying to do? You thought you were slick, bro. Come on, man. I told you I know what's up. But yeah, we'll keep scrolling through. Let's see what else we got. A couple more clips on here. And here was a Nick Chubb clip about him being injured.
Behind me.
In 2023, and then how we ended in 2024 with the injuries.
I would say that's all behind me, and injuries happen, and what I did takes about 2 years to really get back, and so I'm over the hump. I'm back home. I was back home all off-season training where I trained, every year since I was in high school, and I was able to get a full year in of doing the things that I do best, and so now I'm feeling good as I have been in a long time.
2023.
Yeah, and so like the show we had with Dr. Deepak, he said it'll be 85% of his old self, and he said it takes about 2 years, so same thing. This was cool. Here's a clip from Chris Sims when talking about TJ Stroud on his, quarterback rankings.
There's a reason they've totally said the hell with our offensive line after going to the playoffs 2 years in a row. They're telling you without telling you the problems were the team were not CJ Stroud. It was our pass protection scheme and our offensive line. And that's what they had to fix. And CJ Stroud, the Texans, I will not be shocked if they're in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, facts.
There's a reason
saying the same stuff we said. They're telling us without telling us. When you fire Bobby Slowick, when you fire Chris Strausser, when you gut the O-line with, the LT trade was part of it. It was redoing it, but mostly cap, in my opinion. But still, part of it was culture and penalties. But Kenyon Green out, Shaq Mason out. And then keeping all the same assistant coaches. That means, like we've been saying all the time, it was scheme and coaching and not personnel and not Stroud. And Brandon Thorne, who was on here last week, NFL O-lineman scout, like mastermind, said the same shit. Dan Casey, big offensive mind, one of the biggest ones on all here, said the same shit. So, Chris Sims knows what the hell he's talking about, saying the same shit. So that's like what's funny is like people that don't follow the Texans as closely and just see, oh, they got Ed Ingram. Oh, they got Cam Robinson. Oh, they're going to suck. Oh, you kept the same O-line coach. Y'all are going to suck. Like, no, dude. Y'all are severely undervaluing how much of it was scheme. If you watch the games, almost all of our pressures were mental, unblocked, mental errors, coaching and scheme. That means shit, Yeah, we can go on and on about that. And then this was a clip about Kalen Bullock on Kamari Lassiter. I combined a couple of them.
Nah, that's like my brother. Every day we're with each other, on and off the field. I'm with him 24/7. The same stuff. We like the same, basically. We the same person for real. Nah, that's my.
How can you not love that duo, man? And then here's a clip I did with Jalen Petrie with John Harris and Mark Vandermeer talking about the forced fumble after the first forced fumble by Derek Barnett, which he then picked up in return for a touchdown against the Cowboys.
Slammed my technique in DB, a great play, strip sack, and the lineman picked up the ball, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go tackle him. And then when I tackled him, I was like, oh, the ball close, so I tried to punch it out. So DB was right there again. So, big shout out to DB though, because that
hit the crap out of him.
Strip, he didn't first strip, so Big shout out to him. And yeah, that's basically what happened. But it was definitely a big moment because I don't think I've ever hit a lineman like that ever in my life.
He said, I don't think I've ever hit a lineman like that in my life. Uh-oh, we got Altuve 3-run home run. Let's go. Thanks for the update, Unknown. Let's get it. And then Nosh says, Titus had some big praise for the O-line on Jacob's show. I am definitely feeling great about this upcoming season. Facts. I'll go through my timeline and share that too. I reposted a lot of those. And then I got another clip for Petrie to post. It's tough because I get all these clips and I want to post them all. But now that I know it's going to start slowing down, I'm trying to save some of them. But, I mean, I just like to get them out there so that way they're there. And then now we can talk about it and rehash it. But here is Petrie talking about the Texans secondary.
Wrong top to bottom.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of dogs in the defensive back room, like top to bottom, left to right. You know, everybody has their own different type of swag, different type of, you know, like you said, sauce or whatever. But everybody makes plays and everybody, you know, gets the job done. So thankful to be in that room with so many great guys and just be able to learn from them and just, you know, pick their brains on different things that they see.
It's just wrong top to bottom.
Best secondary in the league, man. A lot of dogs and a lot of versatility. All guys that can do different things well. That's a great recipe. Oh, bro. The Louis Guillorme catch was hilarious. I made this video too.
Guillorme get back there, still going. What a play by Louis Guillorme!
I thought this was great. No one even liked it. Spent 10 minutes making this crap, man. Come on. It's not funny. It's the shooting star meme. If you can't see, it's him flying through space and everything. So, all right. I'm not going to go too late today, so I'm going to try and get through here. Yeah, this gym pick is dope. You got Kamari with the hood on. You can't see in this clip here. Let me take myself out of it. We got Kamari hooded right here. Titus, dude, big AF, pause. CJ chilling, like he's just chilling right in the middle next to Tommy Townsend, Tommy Rockets. CJ Gardner-Johnson got a little smirk on his face. Cam Robinson looks like a dog. Christian Kirk's about his business next to Jaden Higgins. Kaimi, Davis Mills, golfing buddies. Yeah, the two biggest people in this photo are Titus and freaking Daniil Hunter right in the middle too. Yeah, what else is there that's good to pick out? I don't know who this guy is right here, but dang, that guy's, I guess you can't see my cursor. But yeah, I mean, that's cool, dude. It's good to see team bonding, chemistry. And another clip, this is Christian Kirk on XM Radio, Sirius XM NFL Radio, talking about CJ Stroud.
He's super modern.
I'd like to hear how much he impresses you just when he converses with you about ball.
Yeah, the thing that sticks out about CJ is he's super mild-mannered, but he has a lot of confidence and he's smart. He sees things well, and he's a really good communicator. And I think, you know, at that position, especially being a quarterback and with him being a younger guy, that's a big part of, you know, him getting to.
Real quick, like Kirk highlighting that he's a good communicator already tells us maybe he has more command of the offense. Maybe he's being allowed to communicate more, or it's just generic. But still, hey, let's just dive in and say that's what it is. Regardless, it's still good to hear.
To where he is now and still excelling is just the communication piece with not only the receivers, but, you know, new offense coordinator, offensive line, whatever the case may be, is just open communication and, you know, us being all on the same page to help him excel because, you know, he's going to take this team as far as we want to go with him being at his best. And so he's going to take this team as far as we want to go all the way, baby. He's been great, you know, just within the few months of spending time around him, you know, communicating with him in the locker room, outside of the facility, whatever the case may be. He's got a bright future and, you know, really excited to get to work with him.
Awesome to hear. And then just scrolling down, let's check what else we got in the timeline from the day before. There was Greg Allman from NFL on Fox. He had an interview with Mike Evans, and he was asking Mike Evans about his favorite top young receivers. And he mentioned, like, obviously, you know, Justin Jefferson. He obviously mentioned Jamar Chase. I forget the other ones, but Nico Collins was one of them. So then he said, nobody's going to argue with you on Jefferson. What do you like about Nico? And Mike Evans said, he's kind of like a mix of me and Julio Jones. He's 6'4", 6'5", but he can run up and catch like Julio, and he has muscles like Julio. He has the length like me. I love Nico's game. That's dope. That's crazy. And I don't know if we got to it. I'll get to it too. But, you know, Nico on Greenlight Pod was just saying how he models his game after Mike Evans. So this came out like 2 days after. So it's kind of funny how that stuff works out. So, yep. So here's the clip I was just talking about. This is Nico saying he, I think I'll go to the clip that, okay, here.
When I started playing football, I kind of out-analyzed my game after Mike Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, Julio Jones, just those bigger body receivers, you know, like just watch.
Two of the guys that Mike Evans just said he's like Julio Jones, and now he says he models his game after Mike Evans and Julio Jones. That's crazy.
Watching how they move at the line of scrimmage, you know, seeing how they create separation during the route, you know. So those guys I've always been studying. Like now I'm Mike Evans. That's my idol, man. I've been watching Mike Evans since Texas A&M when him and Johnny Manziel was just killing Bama. Everybody, he's just running post routes, man. It's unstoppable, man. Like, and just now just watching Mike Evans, man, he's an underdog. You know what I'm saying? Dog too. Like he had 1K every single year. He's been in the league. Like that's hard, you know. So I feel like that's one guy that's always been consistent. You know, I feel like as a receiver, you want to get that 1K, you know. So he's doing something right, you know. So I feel like for me, man, that's one guy I want to be like. And it was when I first went to the Pro Bowl this past offseason, I got the chance to meet him, man. I ain't gonna lie, I was a kid, I was a fan, man. I was cheek to cheek. I was like, nah, I can't believe I'm standing beside Mike Evans right now, man.
That's dope. Mike Evans is a G, dude. He's from Galveston. I don't know if you've ever been down to Galveston, but when I was younger, I used to go to the bars there a lot. There's Yaga's, which is a badass bar, and then Tsunami's, which was like a back alley that connects the two because there's like a store in between. And yeah, we were just chilling, drinking at Tsunami's, and somebody's like, "That's Mike Evans over there," and I was like, "That guy?" Like he was just like some big dude. I was like, no way, that's Mike Evans. Yeah, he was just chilling, hanging out, having a drink, man. But yeah, that's cool to hear. Yeah, Lance McCullers went back on the IL. That sucked. What else we got here? Keep going. There's probably a couple more clips that I have on the timeline soon from Nico. I don't think we covered them last time on the pod. This was funny. This guy ran into Kamari and got a picture, and he's smiling. It's like a rare photo of Kamari smiling. He's always in kill mode. Just trying to see what else there is on the timeline as we go through, just to see if there's anything worthy of playing for you guys. This is mostly for, you know, it's fun for us to talk to, but maybe for those of you who listen and don't, you know, follow on social media quite as bit, just to give you some good audio to get you caught up. But, you know, there was the over-under put out for the Texans wins at 9.5. Come on, bro. Give me the over all damn day. What? 9.5 is the over-under? 10? I mean, shit. Put a house on it, dude. Keep scrolling. Been a lot of Astros content, you know? Yeah, and so June 13th was when. I want to make sure I'm not repeating this audio to make it redundant, but shit, Astros are up 9-1. Let's go. I just saw my phone. That means, let's see. Sorry, I'm chewing my cough drop. Sorry, guys. I'm checking the date. So June 13th, that means, yeah, okay, this is new. All right, so shout out Sean Pendergast and Seth Payne, who is going to be on my show tomorrow at 2 p.m. Seth Payne. I've been trying to connect with him for a while. I'm friends with Sean. I'm friendly with Seth. We actually had a dialogue, is what I like to call it today. I don't think it was an argument, which is always funny because I never know when I'm like, I will respond with people as long as it's a convo, like when it warrants a response. Like I'll go back and forth all day. Like it's not like in my eyes, it's not an argument, and I try my best to keep it civil. And I've had times where I haven't done that, and we're not all perfect, and I'm guilty of it when you're online, and especially when you're online as much as me, you kind of have a lot of toxic interactions. But I know the type of guy Seth is and what he's saying, and I know he's not trying to be a certain type of way. He's just saying, hey, this is this. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. But we were kind of having like a discussion. I think it might have been on one of these posts, but he was tagged in it, so that's what he kind of. But it was about EJ Speed is the topic, and someone asked in the replies, "Do you think EJ Speed will be good, or what they think of him?" And I was like, "I think they think highly of him." I mean, I've said it on here. I've kind of expressed my thoughts. And then Seth said that basically you shouldn't weigh the contracts. He says like the contract would say everything. And me and Seth can like rehash this and like talk about it and share our thoughts on each side of it. But I think we're pretty much aligned. Actually, I think it was just kind of the way we were talking was in different angles. But anyways, we're talking about the contract, and I was like, I have said stuff about contract, but I'm not saying that now. Like most of my premise to why I think EJ Speed could be a starter and play a big role is, I've talked about on here like Christian Harris, like the fact that he was benched when he came back for Henry To'oTo'o. And then the fact that they went and signed him, and the fact that he had been a starter the last 2 years and been highly productive and had high tackle counts. And then I have referenced the contract as a reference point, but when I say the contract, I say the Pro Bowl escalator. I don't think I've said like the snap count percentage, which is the unlikely to be earned incentives, which, Seth was pointing out in a conversation with me, which is, if you played X amount of snaps percent last year, then they increase it by X amount percent the next year because that means it's unlikely to be earned, but it's an incentive for you to play more. And the percentage of snaps is based on of the whole season. And, if you miss games, then it doesn't count. And so I had saw a stat that like excluded those. So it said he eclipsed it. But regardless, like that's not what I was trying to say is like, one, I think EJ Speed is going to be good because what they're telling us by the position, it's Henry To'oTo'o and then who? Like, I don't think they have a lot of faith in Christian Harris, and he's been injured. So there's question marks there. We saw it like he didn't practice. Obviously, it could be just, general soreness or preventative. But, I do think that they got him for a reason. D'Amico has always spoke highly of Speed from me watching interviews when they scout them and talking about games when they played him twice a year the past 2 years. Also, Nick Caserio has talked about him a handful of times. And then once they signed him to talk about him, and they mentioned him in one of these clips we'll do in a second. But so that's kind of my main reasoning was the way they've talked about him. And even during minicamp, the way they've talked about him. And then their actions, the other people out there. And then the contract, the Pro Bowl escalator. To me, that is not a very common thing from my research. It's not like everybody just gets it. Typically, you give it to someone who has a chance to get it, will likely be a starter or have the chance to be a starter. Like Nick Nyman, who I think he brought up to show like the escalators, which his escalator snap share was lower because he hasn't played as much, but he doesn't have a Pro Bowl escalator. But I also kind of said too, like, and again, even though the contract isn't my big sticking point, we also can't harp too much on the dollar value of the contract of the linebackers because at outside linebacker, it's one of, if not the lowest, I'm not sure what the lowest is, but it's one of the lower paid positions in the NFL as far as annual average value per year. So, if someone's getting paid $5 million per year, it's like, oh, he's trash, low end, but it's like, no, that's like actually, top whatever percent. I mean, I'm not saying what exactly it is, but what I'm saying is all relative. You have to compare apples to apples. You can't compare an outside linebacker salary to a defensive end or a cornerback, like, different positions for whatever reason, like even running back, like Saquon Barkley doesn't get paid jack and he's freaking MVP beast type player, but because the running back position, the market is lower. So that's just an example. I'm not saying that to say anything different than that, just to point it out. But like my point is like saying, so like, I don't think that, and on the flip side, you also can't, which I think me and Seth kind of like got to that point. Like we can't look at the contract one way or the other and say, this is what they're going to do based off that, which I tend to agree. I think it can be used to maybe supplement an argument one way or the other. But, I tend to think that You know, and my other point too with the outside linebacker is, you know, him being a cheap contract shouldn't be used against him because he's competing against Henry and Christian Harris, who are both on, you know, a rookie contract. So it's like, it's not like they're going up against somebody who they've paid a bunch of money to. And then even then, D'Amico Ryans has showed us, I know a lot of coaches say this, but don't actually carry through with it, but they really will play the best player regardless of draft position or contract money, and they'll play you over someone better. And for the most part, that's what we've seen with them. I know, like we said, a lot of coaches will say that. It's one thing to say it, but to actually do it, to put your ego aside, you basically admit a mistake or potentially waste money or hurt a player's ego and go with the other player. Like Blake Cashman is a prime example. He was another linebacker who I believe was on basically a similar contract as Nick Nyman and or EJ Speed from a money standpoint. Like it wasn't a lot, and he played starter significant snaps, and then he went and got a bag. And then you look at, you know, another example, the Eagles are kind of ran similarly to us, but Zach Braun was a similar guy. He was a nobody who turned out to be an all-pro. So, but that's not like an indicator to say he will be. I think it's more so to say that that's on the flip side that say that you can't also use the contract against him. So I get what he's saying. I agree with a lot of it. I think him and I are on the same page too, as far as what he could be. His main sticking point is I don't believe contract. And he's talking about escalators and he's talking about snap percentage. And so I think that's where a disconnect was, which we'll hash out tomorrow. But, you know, I don't care about that. To me, it's the Pro Bowl escalator is the thing. And, you know, I had talked with Aaron about that, and he's kind of someone that I've, you know, talked about to really like, oh yeah, that could be, you know, that's something that could indicate. It's not an end all be all, but anyhow, that's a long diatribe, very boring stuff. Let's go through some of these clips from Sean and Seth and Nick Casario.
And if you have a little bit of extra length, you know, again, think about this. You're blocked.
This is, and Nick just may be saying this, but he was asked by either Sean or Seth about, you know, adding all these bigger offensive linemen in the offseason. Was that, you know, a pinpointed approach?
Fucking Daniil Hunter, who's 6'5.5", that's got 35-inch arms, who can threaten the
And
edge.
we're in the wrong.
Well, we're gonna get, you know, a bunch of guys that are, you know, 6'12" into the building. So, but you know, at some point, you know, length is a component. I know there's a lot of discussion at length. Well, he's got short arms or he's not tall enough. I mean, Matt Light was 6'4.5" at 32-inch arms and played left tackle at a high level for 10, 11 years or whatever it was. So it's all what they do with their size. Like, do they play to their size? Do they use their length to their advantage? So, you know, you might have undersized guys who, you know, are good football players. I mean, if you look at a guy like Shaq Mason, I mean, he's 6'1.5", and, you know, Shaq played a lot of good football for a number of years. So in the end, it's about your technique. It's about your fundamentals. And I would say bigger players, taller players, you got to make sure that your weight's distributed properly, that you play with good body position, you play with good knee bend, because in the end, those are the things that are going to be relevant. And if you have a little bit of extra length, you know, again, think about this. You're blocking Daniil Hunter, who's 6'5.5", that's got 35-inch arms, who can threaten the edge. So if you have a little bit of extra length that can hold them off for maybe a split second, maybe that.
Well, Nick, he starts to like say this and then contradicts himself. No, it's not size, but hey, you need size to block these guys. Like, well, I mean, he's basically just, it may have been a concerted effort, but he's saying it's not.
That makes a difference. But I would say, you know, Rashawn Slater, I mean, he's not the tallest left tackle, but I mean, the guy's like one of the best tackles in the league. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's always case by case there a little bit. But I would, to your question, it wasn't, well, we need to get longer and we need to get necessarily bigger. It's just kind of, I'd say, how it happened to work itself out more than anything.
Casario's hilarious. And then Forever Royal, yeah, thanks for this comment. He's talking again on the EJ Speed topic, not to mention D'Amico is somewhat of an LB guru. So, yes, that's my point, is like they sought him out for a reason. And I feel like at that position, outside linebacker, or even just linebacker in general, he uses the bargain barrel, and he probably bets on his coaching. Hey, I can, you know, I can overpay or pay more at these other positions, and then I can coach up at linebacker. Like, I'm in charge of that shit. I trust in myself. I don't have to go. I don't, you know, like, I got my shit. I don't need some high priced guy. I can get a guy here and bring him here. That's part of the piece too. So yes, thanks for bringing that up. And that's kind of my overall argument as well. So, but yeah, keep scrolling. Here's some of the Nikos. This is Nico on green light talking about CJ Stroud and his balls. Pause. The balls that he throws.
Oh,
It's the best ball he throws that you're like, man, he just
deep ball.
Different. Deep ball
for sure. It's easy. You know, it's a lot of hang time. It's high, but it's soft touch. Soft. It's just like dropping in your hand. You know, that it's like any ball he throws, man. It's a soft touch. It's not like a bullet coming. You know, it's not like one of those hard balls that it hurt. Pause. That it hurt. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's a little touch to it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like his deep ball is one of his. I feel like. Best.
And to be able to,
this was the most I've heard Nico talk in my life. He was so comfortable on this show. This was dope. Like he would ask a question and he would just keep talking. Like I'd never seen that. Normally he's just like answer. But yeah, like so his point is what I made this exact point on stream last week. Like I went on a rant. I think it was when I was drunk drinking wine, but I was talking about CJ and I said like he has a unique ability to layer the ball, throw it up and over, you know, different levels and still have touch on the ball. And I talked about how, you know, he's not one of those quarterbacks who just tries to throw hard as hell every time. And a lot of times you see that they only know one speed. They have no touch. So the point of throwing the ball to the receiver is not to prove how hard you can throw it, is to make it catchable. You want to complete the pass. So, I mean, if you can only throw it hard or you have to throw it hard as heck. So like you can, it's weird. Like it's a weird thing that not a lot of guys have, to be able to throw hard and soft at the same time, if that makes sense. To have the strength to get it there, but then when it arrives, it's not just a flatline missile. So it's a weird, delicate balance and a very unique skill. And that's exactly what the hell he's talking about. And that's what Stephon Diggs talked about last year on the mic'd up, saying he throws such a friendly ball. And there's no coincidence why all the receivers that he's played with, yes, are badass, but they've also produced because of him, because he throws a friendly ball that can catch it. 1, 2, he's accurate and can lead you in stride. Another thing too, like we talked about, is like soft shoulder. So if there's a defender here, he'll throw it here. Just little shit like that all adds up. And as a receiver, can really make a difference. And this goes back to Jaylin Noel. You can't control your quarterback, but again, lucky for him, he has a quarterback who can do all this shit to make your job easier. So yeah, I said right here, I went on a rant on my live stream on Wednesday about this too. I'll have to go back and clip it. Yeah, but let's see. Here's a post by Nick Schwager. Shout out Nick. It's JJ Watt on Will Anderson Jr.
The leap that you've seen from Will Anderson Jr. from his rookie year to his second year.
Yeah, I think the best part about Will is that he understands his potential and he wants to do everything possible to achieve it. And not everybody has both of those things together. Some people don't understand how great they could be, and other people aren't willing to work hard enough to accomplish it. Will has both. And it's been really fun to watch him grow and progress, because he is willing to put in all that work and he is willing to make the sacrifices, and he's reaping the rewards because of it. And it also is really nice when you put Danielle Hunter on the other side, because, man, what a combo.
That's a great point. And it is crazy that that's rare, that people are good and rarely realize how good they are and capitalize and do the things necessary to do so. But that's spot on about Will Anderson Jr. And a couple more Nico clips with Chris Long. This is him. We got that one already about Mike Evans. And then this was on Seth Payne and Pendergast, Nick Caserio on Jaylin Noel and Jaden Higgins, which we just heard Jaylin Noel talk about being a gym rat. But here you go.
Iowa State kids have come in here and done a really good job as well. And I mean, just anecdotally, and we talk about work. I mean, we practice, and then Jaylin, has kind of missed a few practices here, but I mean, a weight room's right outside of D'Amico in my office, and one day we kind of look around and you hear a bunch of noise, and you got the jugs machine set up in the weight room, and you got Higgins and Noel with their helmets on, catching balls off the jugs, basically after their meetings or after practice, and just because they're trying to work on their craft and get better. So we didn't have to tell them anything. They're doing that on their own. I mean, so I'd say that's a good place to start. And those are the things that you have to do in order to be a successful football player.
Yeah, so that's dope. I mean, that's what you want. Like, self-initiative, the desire to get better. Like, maybe that's not a big deal, but it was a cool anecdote that he shared unprompted. So that was pretty cool to hear. And then let's see, there was a couple more. This one was dope. Someone mentioned in the chat the kill zone.
One of the best units to watch last year, I thought, was watching y'all's defense. The speed they play with at home and the violence they play with. I mean, they're violent generally, but I just felt like, did you feel like they get sped up in that building?
Man, everybody does, especially with our defense, man. I feel like everybody, it's just the energy they bring. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a swarm mentality, playing fast. You know, when defense playing fast, you know, as an offense, you kind of tell yourself, let's slow it down, you know. But I feel like with our defense, man, you got no choice but to play fast. You know, them boys swarming everywhere. But, man, I feel like our defense got the opportunity to be the best defense in the league.
The way they go top down on stuff is like somebody will catch the ball in the flats. It's like over like that. Al-Shaair, Petrie will knock your head off.
Man, they got something called the kill zone.
I believe it.
Don't get caught in the kill zone. That's all I got to say.
Where is that, just so we know, so I can stay out of it?
I need to make that a T-shirt. That's a good T-shirt idea. Get Al-Shaair, Petrie, all the headhunters and put kill zone. Let's go. There we go. That's a T-shirt right there.
I think it's anything that's linebacker depth in front.
Yep.
It's a kill zone.
There's a fence there.
So that's like drag routes, that's quick outs, that's flat routes, that's hitches, bubbles, all that shit. You're getting the head knocked off, dude.
It's a fence. I don't get caught back in.
One of the best units.
You got to keep a head on a swivel. All right, and then so this was like where some of the EJ Speed talk came from. So this was Nick Caserio talking about the Nick Chubb trade.
We found the injuries coming out, and he, has done a really good job. I mean, number of years, he's very productive. He's dealt with some things in 23 and 24. I mean, happens to a lot of players, unfortunately. So, I mean, he was a player that D'Amico and I had discussions about, and we felt like there's similar, I would say similar, not the same, but along the lines of kind of what we did with Speed. You look at that position, have a number of good players. Talking about the linebacker room, a number of players that.
So I'll pause right now. Like, maybe this is overdoing stuff, but like, I've watched all interviews everywhere, anywhere of all these people forever, and you do pick up on stuff. And like, I am a firm believer, like, when people are just talking, and I guess it's the same for me. Like when you say something just randomly, like it's on your mind and you think about it, like he just said that the acquisition of Nick Chubb was similar to the acquisition of EJ Speed. And from what I'm interpreting, and we'll finish listening to it, but I'll just tell you my thought before that is, we're good at running back, but we had a chance to add more. So we did the same at linebacker with Speed. And we all know what we think that Chubb is going to be. He's not, I'm not saying that he's saying that, and he'll say it too, that EJ Speed is Nick Chubb, but I mean, that tells you that they think this guy can produce. Like, it's basically, if we see an area where we can improve, we'll do it. So like that goes back to my point that I think that he is more than what most people think based off of them.
That had played a lot of football, been productive, whether it was Aziz, Christian, or Henry, and then adding EJ in this situation, similar. DP's done a good job for us. Joe had a productive season, I think.
So to me, it sounds like Speed can help offset Harris not being there or whatever the situation is, whereas Chubb helped offset Pierce. That's what I saw. It's not for sure, but like that's just kind of what I kind of take away.
I think we always view it as if there's an opportunity out there that makes sense with the right player, and if we can fit it in financially, then it's worth exploring, and that's kind of how we arrived at the end point with Nick. But Nick's he's a workman-like player. He's very workman-like in his approach. He says less, does more, and I think that certainly resonates with our building and our program.
Nick, it's
all right. A couple more, and then we got that one. This one was pretty cool. This is
like,
Caserio
what is
and
it
Jake
about
Andrews
that has him running? It seems like running with the ones pretty definitively, or am I reading too much into that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys were here for a handful of days. I think they were open, and I think, honestly, we rolled a lot of guys through during the course of the spring. I mean, we had 8 practices. I'd say each practice probably a little bit different. So we'll roll a lot of guys through there. I'd say we have a lot of players that have experience putting their hand on the ball. So, Jake has experience, I would say, in the system going back to New England, even though it was different. I mean, there's some elements that carry over. JP's done a good job for us, and Juice has played well with his opportunities. Juice kind of has a little bit of flexibility, kind of center guard. He started games at center for us. He started games at guard for us and provided a good level of play. There's probably a likelihood you're going to need 2 or 3 centers. I mean, you just look at our experience. My experience is at some point you're going to need somebody. Something's going to happen, and you're going to need multiple players that can play center. So, but overall, that group has done a pretty good job. They've worked. We have 15 or 16, however many offensive linemen we have on the roster, and other than Trent, everybody has been out there essentially working. Which is good to see. So, we think it'll be really good competition. Got competition inside. We have competition on the perimeter at tackle as well. Figure out. We know we're going to have 8 at the game each week, because you get the extra linemen. So we got 8. How many we carry on the roster? Where's our depth? I mean, those are things that will kind of let the competition sort itself out. But, Jake was a player coming out. We had decent grades on him when he was coming out of Troy. He has experience with Coach Pop.
So first, I want to pause it because that's like a separate little point there. But, let me just finish this.
Coach on him when he was coming out of Troy. He has experience with Coach Popovich.
So my point is, like, a lot of these guys he talks about, like, he grades them prior, and then when he talks about, like, I remember grading him when he's out of Troy over here and there. So, like, they were already familiar with these players. And then he talks about how he was in New England with Popovich here.
He was coming out of Troy. He has experience with Coach Popovich. Coach Cole was the offensive coordinator at Troy.
Sorry, he was his OC at Troy. That's the connection.
Popovich. Coach Cole was the offensive coordinator at Troy. That last year there when Jake, was a center. So, there's some, I would say, experience with one another. It doesn't necessarily guarantee or mean anything. And it's a lot of it's just kind of getting Jake up to speed here a little bit. So, but it's been a good group. And that group, like the team collectively has put in a lot of good work throughout the course of the spring. And excited to see the competition sort itself out here in training camp.
And so hopefully that relationship yields good results. I think at the very least we have a lot more depth, especially at center, whether it's Andrews, Scruggs, or Patterson. We got options is basically what he's saying, and it's good to have multiple guys that can snap the ball, which I agree with. And then here is another
process. So it's never anything happens overnight. So once you learn the kind of the terminology and the vernacular, that's step 1. Step 2 is it's really about the communication mechanisms.
This is about Nick Caley's offense and the change of CJ Stroud being able to have more control, essentially.
So who helps drive the communication? Sometimes it's the center. He handles all the communication. There's other systems where the quarterback sets the protection system, makes the mic identification, and then the communication kind of goes top down, and then the line gets it distributed inside out. So it's some combination. The most important thing is, are you seeing it the same way? Is the offensive line seeing it the same way as the quarterback is seeing it, and vice versa? And then it's understanding like where your issues or where your problems are, and then what's the solution. So, and it takes time. You have to immerse yourself in film. You have to immerse yourself in meetings. You have to go on the field and do it. And there's going to be probably a little bit of a trial and error that takes place. In the case of CJ, he was able to handle the run game. The mic identification is a part of that. So he was a part of all the group run installations. He was on the field in the run periods. So getting the blockers distributed right. Who's the mic? Where's the force? Do we have to motion a guy across to get him in proximity where he can block that area? So there's plenty of work that you can get done. In the passing game, that's probably the next step. There's going to be some things, all right, against this coverage, against this look, here's what we're going to do. But really, everything starts with the front, and it's understanding what's the protection system we're utilizing, who's the mic ID, and then everything kind of emanates off of that. So it's a process. Everybody goes through. I'd say Tom went through it, and then got to a point where even though he had a lot of experience, each year it was, all right, let's go back and reintroduce it and establish a foundation. And then I would say as the more time you spend in a system, you can make some tweaks as you go and add some adjustments to account for the problem. So the big thing for the quarterback is just understanding where your issues are, and do we have a solution to that problem? And there's many ways that you can build that in.
That's what we have been saying every freaking day. In the Shanahan scheme, it's ironic in the sense that it wants to protect quarterbacks by not allowing them to do things. And the biggest thing is last year with the protections that we had, the fact that CJ didn't have control, he had to put blind faith and trust into the O-line that they would scheme it up right. And he would have no idea where the potential threats would come from. Whereas now he has control. And Caserio just said that he already did it in the run game. This was before he was throwing, I believe, which also you also set the protection and the mic in the run game, which kind of dictates where everything goes after that. So that means he's doing it. And now He's basically saying the quarterback can set it, and now he knows where the strengths and weaknesses are, so he has more control. And he mentioned one thing I didn't really catch on at first is now he has the ability to motion guys. So if he sets it and sees, okay, this is that, oh, there's an overload here, I'm going to motion this guy in to help with the chip or to help with that. Like, and CJ is smart enough to do this shit. Like, we know he is. Like, if you just watch his interviews and listen to him talk ball, he knows how to do this shit. You don't need to be like, oh, well, he's young, I don't know. Yes, he can fucking do it, dude. And so he gets to do it. And yes, that is awesome to hear. That was great. That was good shit. Keep going through, try and knock the rest of this out. Let's see here. Going back up. We're almost done. Go back up towards the top. But yeah, so I mean, that's going to be huge. And, you know, from what he said, he's already doing it. So everything we suspected that would happen is happening. We've heard it cross-referenced several times between CJ and Kaylee and Casario that he's going to have more control. Like, and people were saying that we're just making that shit up and we're just assuming. No, it's notorious Shanahan schemes do it. It's evident he had no control last year. Like, oh, you don't know that? You're on the quarterback room. Like, yeah, the fuck we do. We watched the film. You watch the game. Never was CJ able to point at a mic. You can tell. You can even hear it in games too. Like when you watch fucking football all the time and you watch games that had Brady and had Breeze and had Manning. 52's the mic. 52's the mic. You hear that shit on the fucking hot mic and you see them point. We never saw that with CJ, and it showed. Like, he had no idea where pressure was coming from. So, yes, it never happened. It's not crazy for us to assume that. It's pretty much known, and now he does, and he said it's something that he wanted for and he got. He wasn't allowed to do it, and now he is. And now it's, you know, we talked about this on the last stream, like raising a dog, like, you know, the OC and the QB, like with Slowick, it was like on the alpha approach where like, I'm just going to dominate you and you do what I say. But now with Kaylee, it seems like we're equals. We're in this shit together. And that's the way you have to do it, because at the end of the day, the quarterback's the one who's running the play. The quarterback's the one who's out there and is seeing this shit. They can't just trust you to tell them what to do and then they say, yes, sir, and do it. Like, no, like, you need to give them the freedom and flexibility to adapt and adjust in real time. That's a good rant right there. Almost done. I'm getting hype. I always try not to cuss, and then I get hyped up on some topic, and I just let it rip. Sorry, I got to put up an explicit notice on this one. But and it always happens towards the end, man. Always happens towards the end. So there's a stat here. Let's see. Let's see if there's one right here. Jaylin Noel. So I got caught back up. Jaylin Noel with them says him and Jaden Higgins getting drafted together.
Let's talk about that. What's it like being on a squad with your teammate that you went to college with, going to the same NFL team?
Nah, it's cool for sure.
Yeah.
Just, obviously, we played 2 years together. Iowa State, transferred in from EKU, built a quick bond together. But to be able to know you going to a team, be able to grow with somebody in the NFL and kind of experience those things, I think it's super cool. For
That's what's up.
Yeah. How was the draft process and everything?
It was good. Obviously, there's stress to it, nerves, all that stuff.
Stressing.
Put in a lot of work, so there's not many breaks. But it's something that every kid dreams of going through, and to be able to have that opportunity and get those experiences is a blessing for sure.
Yeah. Any weird draft questions that you were asked? Like something like that shit just weird. Like.
Nah, really, it was a lot of vanilla questions for me because I ain't have too many. I like no issues off the field.
Question marks?
No question marks, which is a good thing. Probably the question that kind of threw me off the most is like, what do you dislike most about football?
Right.
And so that made me think.
Yeah, so
what'd you say?
Like,
they trying to.
What'd you say?
Nah,
they asked me that
hate
too.
losing. That's
I said injury.
Trick questions. Like, yeah, he's mature, man. So like he talked about too in the interview about having a fiance, and they're like, oh, what do you like to do? He's like, I like to fish and golf and cook. And that's it. So like he's low key, he's chill. Sounds like Jaden Higgins is the same way. Here's a stat by Football Insights: yards per route run leaders versus man coverage since 2023. Number 1, Nico Collins, and it is 4.04. Second is CeeDee Lamb. So, yeah, Freako Nico. You can't spell unicorn without Nico. UNICORN. It's in the middle of the word. Unicorn Nico. I discovered that like a couple weeks ago, and I've been spamming it. Yeah, scrolling back through, almost done on the timeline, which will get us caught up on all the stuff from the past week. And so hopefully if you're listening on the podcast, this kind of gets you caught back up and gets you informed. As always, if you ever got any questions or need anything, feel free to hit me up. Be happy to help. And then here is Nico Collins on Jaden Higgins on Greenlight Podcast with Chris Long.
One guy they're saying is looking good so far. And I know it's just mini camp and everything. You've been in the league long enough to know how that goes. But Jaden Higgins, I've been reading about him, seeing him, and you got great corners. So if you catch a ball over those guys, that's something to be excited about, whether it's mini camp or OTAs or whatever. What have you seen from the young receivers and him in particular?
A lot, man. All of them, man. I feel like those group of guys, man, they coming in with a mission, to get better, learn, and trying to be a great, valuable to the offense, and Higgins is dude special. He kind of reminds me of Mike Evans. He can stretch the field, tall, lanky, can move, quick at the line, good with his hands. Man, dude's nice, man. Sky's the limit for him, man. I can't wait, to see when the season comes. Can't wait to share the field with him, man. Go out there making plays in front of the city and smiling while doing it, just having fun, But the dude's special, man. And he got all the tools in the world.
One guy that's
dope,
saying
man.
is looks
dope. This video here is dope. That's dope. That's on TikTok. That's from ZenECX. That guy makes some good videos. Foley had an interview. I need to catch up on that. Guess who's working out? Guess who looks fine? That boy Joe Mix. I'm gonna mute the music so I don't get tagged. But it's Joe Mixon working out. Obviously, it's not running, but he's doing like different movements, pretty unique, innovative workouts, working all kind of auxiliary muscles, which is important. All those little smaller muscles that support your bigger muscles. That's how you stay healthy. But he seems to be doing good. And as Dr. Deepak suggested, it was probably just a tightrope surgery. There's no boot on his foot. There's no brace that's visible when he's working out. So he's probably going to be just fine when the season starts. And then, Jacob had Titus on his stream. He said that Titus was very confident about this offensive staff improving, especially in protection. He said he had super high praise for O-line coach Cole Popovich, and he talked about how there were coaching staffs in the past that he played for that just didn't have much of a pass block plan and made them play on the fly. Yeah, that checks out. And then he also said Popovich had very little impact on the O-line room and the decisions being made last year. That's what we said. When you're an assistant, that doesn't mean, well, why didn't he do anything? Because you can't, because you're a subordinate. You can't do shit. Checks out. Everything we're saying, all this speculation we're making is turning out to be true. It's common sense. And then Jacob also said, let's see. He said that Titus said that Ariante Ursary is the new O-lineman who has impressed him the most. Here's his quote: "People don't know how hard it is to play tackle as a rookie, and some of the stuff he's been doing is very impressive." That's great to hear. And it's at Texans Jacob. He had a Twitch stream, which I believe he played NBA 2K with Titus. He said that Titus talked on stream about Solomon Byrd and him being an OTA standout, a guy to watch as a rotational DN for this team. That's dope. And then Titus on Cole Popovich. He is one of the best coaches I've ever had. Let's go. So it's everything we're kind of assuming is kind of, going the way we thought. And here's a video of Kalen Ballhawk working out with Ja'Cory one way. Shout out Ja'Cory, friend of the show, my guy. Look at that, dude. Look at that footwork.
Hey, yep, finish. Good, flip now. Oh, now, speed now. Hey, come on. Oh, so good now. Go now, flip. Now, flip. Now, go. There you go. Oh, go now. Oh, now, come on. Drive. Hey. Good, finish. Good. Oh, come on. Good now, I'm going. Now, here. Hey, finish. Go now, come on. Good now, go here. Good now, go here.
Kalen's swag is crazy, dude. You got the red visor, the red mouthpiece. You got the red J cleats on. His sweatpants again. He's got some swag, dude. I think that's it. We did it. Brandon said just need some Space City. I'm not sure what you're talking about on that, but that's all I got, fellas. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I was going to try and go 30 minutes, went an hour and a half. Again, subscribe to everything, and I will be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. with Seth doing an interview how I normally do those, so I cannot wait for that. You'll be sure to tap in. Until next time, we blessin'.